Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Brother Nashan, New Wine Congregation of Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. In the name of the Son, that we do everything that we do. We give all honor and glory and praise to the Most High God through his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, so today's class should be a fun one. Most High willing, we're going to get into who are the Scythians. All right. Who are the Scythians? All right. Y'all bear with me. I'm eating my grapes. All right. So let's go to the book of Colossians. Where are we getting that word from? Scythian. Colossians chapter 3. And we're going to read verse 11. All right. It says, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. All right, so it said a lot there. We dealt with Greeks before on this channel, all right? Greek and Jew. There's a few classes up there on our channel uh about who the Greeks were, all right? And most I willing will do more in-depth classes about who the Greeks and the Jews were, but there's a whole breakdown about the split of the kingdom on our channel. All right. We'll deal with circumcision and uncircumcision. Essentially, that's Greek and Jew. All right. So that's talking about the same people. Barbarian, we're going to do a class on that, Lord willing. But this class is going to be about the Scythian. All right. The Scythian. Who are the Scythians? All right. To understand this, we got to go back in time to Joshua. All right, Joshua chapter 17, and we're going to start at verse 11. All right. Now, this is dealing with the lot alignment for the tribe of Manasseh. All right. So, watch this. It says, and Manasseh had in Issachar and in Asher, Bethshan and her town. So Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh was so big. All right. They came to Joshua. They said, look, we need more land than what we got in our allotment, right? We need more land in there. Kind of dark in here. Hold on. Turn the light. Can't see. All right. So Manasseh came and said, look, we need more land than what we got. All right, give us some more land, please. So Joshua told them, hey, y'all go up in the mountains and clear that land out. You can have that land, right? But initially, they had some of the land that Issachar and Asher had. It says Bethshan and her towns. That name, Bethshan, is very important. Remember that name. We're going to be dealing with that name a lot in this class, all right? Bethshan and her towns, and Ibleam and her towns, and the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, and the inhabitants of Endor and her towns, and the inhabitants of Tanakh and her towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, even 3 countries, because it was so big. It said, yet the children of Manasseh could not drive out the inhabitants of those cities, but the Canaanites would dwell in that land. So that's important. They did not do what the Lord told them to do and completely drive out those people, the Canaanites, Hamites, but instead they let them live there. They put them under tribute, and you know what happened with them living there. Of course, they started to mingle with them. They started to have sex with them and deal with them. All right. So from there, let's go to Judges. Remember Bethshan, Judges chapter 1 and verse 27. All right. It says here, neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Bethshan and her towns, or Tanakh and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Ibleam and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, but the Canaanites would dwell in that land. All right, it says, and it came to pass when Israel was strong that they put the Canaanites to tribute and did not utterly drive them out. So they put them to tribute. They made them pay taxes. They made them hewers of wood and stuff like that. Right? Let's go to First Chronicles now. What ultimately ended up happening as a result of that is they drove Manasseh into a life of sin. All right, First Chronicles 7 and verse 29. All right. Walk with me a little bit here. It says, and by the borders of the children of Manasseh, Bethshan and her towns, Tanakh and her towns, Megiddo and her towns, Dor and her towns. In these dwelt the children of Joseph, the son of Israel, right? Manasseh and Ephraim are the children of Joseph. All right. So they lived in Bethshan. All right. They lived there. That's important to understand for later on. All right. Let's go to First Samuel. First Samuel chapter 31 and verse 1. It says, and now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. All right, so the Philistines are the Canaanites, same people. They got strong and they fought against Israel, right? Because we didn't drive them out. We didn't get rid of them like we were supposed to. Instead, they dwelt among us, got strong, and then they started to fight against us. All right. So let's keep going. It says, and the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons, and the Philistines slew Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchishua, Saul's sons. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Saul unto his armor bearer, draw thy sword and thrust me through with therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. So Saul committed suicide. He didn't want the Philistines to kill him, right? Verse 5, and when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So his armor bearer committed suicide too, right? The honorable thing is the Moabites call it, right? That's not honorable. Verse 6, it says, so Saul died and his three sons and his armor bearer and all his men that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley and they that were on the other side of Jordan saw that the men of Israel fled and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. So that was the Philistines taking over Bethshan and all those areas that they was left to dwell in, right? It says, and it came to pass on the morrow when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his three sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head and stripped off his armor and sent it unto the land of the Philistines round about to publish it in the house of their idols. So they turned that city, watch this, it's gonna say, it says it among the people, and they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. So they took over Bethshan and made houses of idolatry there, and they hung Saul's body there and Jonathan's body there, right? In Bethshan, right? Now let's go from there. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 21 and verse 12. All right, so this is David going to get Saul's body and Jonathan's body. All right, it says, and David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh Gilead, and which had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hung them when the Philistines had slain Saul in Gilboa. So they had hung his body in Bethshan, right? Let's go to First Kings now. See, I'm going in order to go from the beginning all the way up until Colossians, where Paul is telling them about Scythians, because Christians read that and say, see, the Scythian is the white man, right? But we're gonna go into that word and understand, Lord willing, what's that talking about, right? So far, if you can understand, that's going into Northern Kingdom. That's where Manasseh lived, right? But we'll get to that. It's the book of First Samuel, chapter 4, and verse 1. It says, so King Solomon was king over all Israel, and these were the princes which he had: Azariah, the son of Sadok, the priest; Eliathar, Elihoreph, and Ahiah, the son of Shisha; scribes; Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, the recorder; and Benaniah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the host; and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. They were like the captains, right? It says, and Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers; and Zabud, the son of Nathan, was principal officer and the king's friend; and Ahisar was over the household; and Adoniram, the son of Abda, was over the tribute. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month and a year made provisions. That's the precept, let you know. We got 12. The 12 months in a year. That started with Israel. The white man didn't make that up, right? It says, and these are their names: the son of Hur in Mount Ephraim, the son of Dekar in Makaz and in Shaalbim, and Beth Shemesh, and Elia Bethanan. I'm chopping it up. The son of Hasad in Arabah. To him pertains Sakuh and all the lands of Hefer, the son of Abinadab in all the region of Dor. So he telling you the provinces that his 12 uh, officers was over, right? It says, which had Tophath and the daughter of Solomon to wife, Bana, the son of Ahilud; to him pertained Tanakh and Megiddo and all Bethshan, which is by Zardana beneath Jezreel, from Bethshan to Abimelech, even to the place that is beyond Jochanim, the son of Geber, Ramoth Gilead; to him pertained the towns of Jair and the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead. To him also pertained the region of Argob, which is in Bethshan, 60 great cities with walls and brazen bars. So 60 cities, right? So here it said Manasseh was over Argob, which is in Bashan. Bashan and Bethshan is the same, right? Bashan and Bethshan is the same. I'm gonna show y'all that. Watch this. Let's go to Bible Hub. Let me pull this up real quick in my notes. All right, Bashan and Bethshan is the same. All right, so but Bethshan. All right, it says here, blow it up so y'all can see it. It says Bethshan, but Bethshan or Bethshan in Apocrypha, Beth Shan, and Betsa. All right, so we're gonna get into it in the Apocrypha, right? Because that's when the Greek captivity took place. It says a city in the territory of Issachar assigned to Manasseh. So they gave them a little bit of their land because Manasseh was so big. Some of y'all gotta hear the white man say it for you to believe it, right? So it says a city in the territory of Issachar assigned to Manasseh, out of which the Canaanites were not driven. We just read all that. In Joshua 17:11, Judges 127, it says, in the days of Israel's strength, they were put to task work. They doubtless were in league with the Philistines, who after Israel's defeat on Gilboa exposed the bodies of Saul and his sons on the wall of the city. We read that, 1 Samuel 31:7. whence they were rescued by the men of Jabesh, who remembered the earlier kindness of the king. All right. We read 1 Kings 4:12. In 1 Kings 4:12, the name applies to the district in which the city stands. It was called Scythopolis. That's where the word Scythian comes from. All right. It was called Scythopolis by the Greeks. You understand? So we called it Bethshan. The land, where did it, who it said? Assigned to Issachar, to Manasseh. The Greeks took over and called it Scythopolis. All right, this may be connected with the invasion of Palestine by the Scythians. That's not true. That's why he say this may be connected. That's what you would call conjecture. He's saying something that's speculation at best, as if it were a fact, right? So that's not true. That's why he say this may be connected with the invasion of Palestine. Now we're gonna see why it was called Scythopolis. All right, so let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's go to the book of Judah, chapter 3. Judah, chapter 3, and verse 10. All right. It says, and he pitched between Geba and Scythopolis. That's the same place as Bethshan. And there he tarried a whole month that he might gather together all the carriages of his army. So I'm going there to show you that they called it Scythopolis. All right, from there, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 5. First Maccabees chapter 5 and verse 52. All right, it says, after this went they over Jordan into the great plain before Bethsan. All right, remember in Bible Hub, it said that Bethsan, Bethshan, Bethshan, Scythopolis is all the same place. All right, they went to Bethshan, same place. All right, let's go to Second Maccabees. Second Maccabees, chapter 12, and verse 28 is where we'll start. It says, but when Judas and his company had called upon Almighty God, who with his power breaketh the strength of his enemies, they won the city and slew 25,000 of them that were within. From thence they departed to Scythopolis, which lieth 600 furlongs from Jerusalem. So it's telling us that from Jerusalem, Scythopolis ain't that far. It's 600 furlongs, right? It says, but when the Jews that dwelt there had testified that the Scythopolitans, Scy, uh, Thopolis is Polis's city. All right. Scytho, city of the Scythians, is what that is. The city of the Scythians. All right. It says, but when the Jews that dwelt there had testified that the Scythopolitans dealt lovingly with them and entreated them kindly in the time of their adversity, they gave them thanks, desiring them to be friendly still unto them. And so they came to Jerusalem, the Feast of Weeks approaching. So why would the Scythopolitans be friendly to the Jews? Because they was their brothers. They was Northern Kingdom. They was just being called Scythopolitans by the Greeks. You understand? You gotta understand, at the time of this happening, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom was beefing. They was killing each other. It was like on sight. When if you was Northern Kingdom and you seen a Jew, Benjamin, Judah, Levi, if you seen one of them brothers, it was on sight. All gas, no brakes. You understand? So that's why he pointed out that the Scythopolitans dealt lovingly with them, because usually it would have been on sight with a Northern Kingdom brother, right? But in this instance, they didn't do them no harm, right? So now it said here, let me go back up. It said From thence they departed to Scythopolis, which lieth 600 furlongs from Jerusalem. Right? So let's look and see. Let's look and see. Let me pull up my notes real quick. All right, so this is a map of Bethshan from Jerusalem. You see, that's 600 furlongs. It's in Israel. You understand? That's where Manasseh was at, right? Watch this. Let me go here real quick. Uh, let the map. Let me pull up this map. All right. See Manasseh, West Manasseh. All right. Where's see Jerusalem right there where I got the cursor? Jerusalem. 600 furlongs is about where Manasseh would be. You see that? I hope y'all can see that. It's not that far. All right. It's not that far. Jerusalem, right here in the land of Judah. Jerusalem, Manasseh. Not that far at all. All right. So let's go back to the map of Bethshan. See, it's just not as detailed. Jerusalem, Bethshan, right up in Manasseh's territory, on their borders. All right, let's go back. Let me show you another map. This is why they dealt friendly with them. It said, see this map? Scythopolis. Hold on. Let me pull this one up. Hold on very quick. All right, I'm gonna just blow it up. See that? Jerusalem, Scythopolis, same place as Bethshan. It was just called Scythopolis by the Greeks. Same area where Manasseh would have been. You understand? It's the same people, right? So they was called Scythopolitans because what the Bible said that they was gonna be broken and not a people. They was gonna completely lose their heritage that they had, right? Let's get that in Isaiah. Isaiah 7 and verse 9. Verse 8. All right, it says, for the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years, within 65 years, Isaiah, shall Ephraim be broken that it be not a people. Ephraim was the head tribe of Northern Kingdom. He said, look, within 65 years, Ephraim gonna be broken and they won't even know who they are. They won't even be called, nor they won't even be calling themselves Israel anymore. Right? So from there, why did they let's go to Psalms. This is what a result of that was. They was called Scythopolitans by the Greeks. Right? Let's go to 49. Psalms 49 and verse 11. The Lord said that's what they do. They take over lands and they call the lands after their own name, right? It say their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. That's what the white man think. He think he gonna rule forever, right? And their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. So when they come in and take over a land and Hellenize some people, they don't leave the name, the name that it was called before they got there. They say, nah, this ain't Bethshan no more. This is Scythopolis now. Right? They call the names after they gods and all that type of mess, right? So let's go to First Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 12 and verse 39. So that is where Manasseh was living. Y'all can see that from those maps. All right. It say now Tryphon went about to get the kingdom of Asia and to kill Antiochus, the king, that he might set the crown upon his own head. It says, howbeit he was afraid that Jonathan would not suffer him and that he would fight against him, where he sought a way how to take Jonathan that he might kill him. So he removed and came to Bethshan, right? Then went out to meet him with 40,000 men chosen for the battle, and they came to Bethshan, right? So Bethshan and Bethshan or Scythopolis is all the same place, right? Now, let's go to First Chronicles. First Chronicles. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, let's go to First Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 23. Still dealing with Bethshan and the Scythians. All right. So I want to let y'all see what happened with Manasseh during or Northern Kingdom when they got took into captivity by the Assyrians, right? So let's go to verse 23. We'll start there. First Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 23. It says, and the children of the half tribe of Manasseh dwelt in the land. They increased from Bethshan unto Bel Hermon and Sinir and unto Mount Hermon. Ain't that what Tryphon was at? Right? They called that place Scythopolis after that, right? Let's keep going. It says, and these were the heads of the house of their fathers, even Ephor and Ashai and Eliel and Azriel and Jeremiah and Hadaviah and Jehadiel, mighty men of valor, famous men, and heads of the house of their fathers. And they transgressed against the God of their fathers and went a whoring after the gods of the people of the land, the Philistines, the Canaanites, whom God destroyed before them. And the God of Israel stirred up against them, stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria. So that's Tiglath, uh, Tiglath-Pileser the third. That's Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Halah and Habor and Harah and unto the river Gozan unto this day. So when Pul, king of Assyria, came in, you got to understand, they didn't just take everybody at one time. They would do like sieges. They would come in, siege the cities, take some of the people, and then take them away, right? And here it says he took them unto Halah and Habor and Harah unto the river Gozan unto this day. All right, from there, let's go to Second Kings. So this is after what we just read. Second Kings chapter 17, and we'll start at verse 1. This is after what we just read in First Chronicles. Second Kings chapter 17. It says, and in the 20th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. Right? And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the king of Israel that were before him. All right. So he was evil, but not as the kings of Israel that was before him. Again came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. So now Shalmaneser, the fifth, is reigning, right? This is during, let me look in my Bible real quick. This is Shalmaneser the fifth. Yeah, this is around 700 BC when this is taking place. I got little notes in my Bible that I help me remember and understand. It's to write in your Bible, man. Your Bible shouldn't be looking all brand new and stuff. Write in your Bible, all right? Help it, make it useful to yourself. It say, against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. It said, and the king of his presence mean tribute. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no presents to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. So he like, you been bringing that money. Why you stop bringing the bag? Right? It said, therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. And the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. So they would come 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. Every time they came, they would take some people. Right? Remember, it said the head of Ephraim is Samaria. That's where most of northern kingdom would live. It says, and in the ninth year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan. All right, and in the cities of the Medes. The cities of the Medes would be modern day Iran. All right, let's look at this real quick. Modern day Iran. All right, so let's look at a map of the deportation of Israel. All right, so you see Jerusalem, Samaria, where Northern Kingdom was. They went up here, up to Hamath, Haran, Gozan. All right, the Habor River right here, into the cities of the Medes, into the cities of the Medes. You understand? All right, let's go back. Now, same jurisdiction. You see this? Scythia. Scythia, right next in the Rome. See the Roman Empire over here. Blow it up. All right, so to the top right over here is where that's where Europe is. All right, that's where Europe is. Indo-Scythians. All right, right next to Rome. All right, let me get the other map. Right next to Rome. Now, let me go into this word Scythopolis. Look here. Scythopolis was the Hellenistic, Roman, and Byzantine name for the ancient city of Bethshan, located in present day Israel. All right. The name meaning city of Scythians, right? Polis is city, city of the Scythians. That's just what they called us. All right. The name of the name meaning city of Scythians likely rose from a colony of Scythian warriors who invaded the region centuries earlier. That's not true. That likely arose. That's once again conjecture. Right. We got that name from Ptolemy the second. All right, hold on. Let me go to uh Wikipedia. We got that name from Ptolemy the second Philadelphus. Ptolemy the second Philadelphus. Let me go down. Hold on, let me type this in. It say Ptolemy the second Philadelphus did not have a direct documented relationship and with a city named Scythopolis. It says, hold on, let me go here. They trying to lie. Somebody is rain. Can't find what I'm looking for. But this guy told me Philadelphia's. He did name it. He did name it Scythopolis. All right, I'm trying to find where I read that at. Um, that's all right. It says rather the name Ptolemy appears in the city of Scythopolis' Greek name Nisa, a city that was part of Ptolemaic territory in the region of Palestine. Did not expand its kingdom's influence across the Mediterranean beyond and even founded cities like Philadelphia. The sources available do not point to a specific connection with Scythopolis. Ah, we know y'all lying. It says Scythopolis is nicer. The region where Scythopolis was located was part of the larger Ptolemaic dominion in Mediterranean and the Holy Land. So that's what you gotta understand with between what they saying. It's saying no direct link, right? But we see how in the Bible it say that they call their lands after their names. He had regional control where Scythopolis was located, right? And so when he controlled it, of course he's gonna name it after what he wanted to be called. He didn't just keep the name the same way he didn't let they the same way they wouldn't let us keep calling ourselves Jews. You had to call yourself a Greek. They wouldn't let our names of our land stay the same either. Right? They changed the names, right? So yeah, this guy told me the second Philadelphia's. He's the one that named it Scythopolis, right? So let's go back to where we started at. Colossians 3 and verse 11. All right. It says, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all in all. All right. So he's basically telling you, them people y'all call Scythians, Northern Kingdom, even though they calling themselves a Scythian now, because the Greeks came and Hellenized them, right? Like we read, they can come back. They've been reconciled back to Hamashiach. All right. So the Scythians are chiefly the tribe of Manasseh. That's their land that they lived in. All right. That's the places that they was living in when the Greeks came and took them over. Beth Shan before it was called Scythopolis. All right. So next time we'll deal with barbarian because they be trying to say Christians try to say that that's the white man too. Right now, the word Scythian is what you call a demonym. Later on, yes, people uh assume the name Scythian and they attributed that to the people that lived there versus the land being they attributed the land being called Scythia versus understanding that it was a people first before it was just called a land, right? Like for example, everybody that's called an Arabian, it doesn't mean that they're an Arab. You understand? It's a people associated with. Let's look it up. I don't want to chop it up. Demonym. All right. It's a noun used to denote the natives or inhabitants of a particular country, state, city, etc. Like a New Yorker, right? Or Arabian. It doesn't. It's a people associated with a land, right? But before it was that, though they went and called a people that was in that land a different name, and that's how they became called Scythians. All right. So most high willing, you got something out of this class. Hopefully it was helpful to you to understand who the Scythians are. Next time, Lord willing, we'll get into who the barbarians are. All right. So all honor and glory to the most high God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah. Brother Nashan, New Wine Congregation of Israel, signing off. Shalom.